The text message glowed on my phone screen like a burning coal. Daddy won't be home for dinner again. My 5-year-old had mastered typing faster than I'd expected. I stared at those 7 words, feeling my stomach twist into knots. My name is Mila, and that innocent question from my daughter Paisley was about to shatter my world into a million pieces. He's working late again, sweetie. I typed back to her iPad. The same response I'd given her for months. The lies were becoming routine, each one burning my throat like acid reflux. I glanced at the GPS tracking app on my phone, the one I'd installed last week after finding a strange receipt in Kyle's jacket pocket. The blinking dot showed his car parked in a residential area across town, nowhere near his office. Again. Want to be brave and help mommy with something? I texted Paisley, who was at my mom's house. We're going on a little adventure. Like spies? She replied instantly, adding a dozen random emojis. Exactly like spies. I grabbed my keys, hands trembling. I'll pick you up in 10 minutes. The drive to mom's was a blur. Paisley bounced into the car wearing her favorite unicorn backpack, completely oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Where are we going, mommy? To surprise daddy at work, I said, forcing a smile. But we have to be very quiet, okay? She nodded enthusiastically, treating it like a game. I followed the GPS dot to a quiet suburban street lined with identical houses. Kyle's car sat in the driveway of a pale blue 2-story home with white trim. That's not daddy's work, Paisley said, confusion creeping into her voice. No, baby, it's not. I parked across the street, killing the engine. Stay here with your iPad for a minute. Mommy needs to check something. As I approached the house, voices drifted through an open window. Kyle's laugh, the one I hadn't heard in months, rang out clear as day. A woman's voice joined his, followed by the squeal of a young child. My legs moved on autopilot. I reached the front door and rang the bell before I could stop myself. The voices inside went quiet. The door opened, and there stood Kyle in casual clothes, looking nothing like someone who should be working late at the office. His face drained of color when he saw me. Mila, he stammered. What are you? A little boy, maybe 6 years old, came running up behind him. Daddy, who is it? Daddy. The word hit me like a physical blow. A woman appeared in the hallway, beautiful in that effortless way that made my carefully applied makeup feel like a child's finger painting. She froze when she saw me, recognition flooding her features. You must be Mila, she said softly. I'm Scarlett. The world tilted sideways. I gripped the doorframe to stay upright. How long? Kyle stepped forward, hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. Let me explain. How long? 7 years, Scarlett answered when Kyle couldn't. Isaiah is 6, which meant while Kyle and I were planning our wedding, he was already. A small voice behind me made everyone freeze. Daddy. Paisley stood on the front walk, her unicorn backpack suddenly looking too heavy for her tiny shoulders. She stared at the boy in the doorway, then at Kyle, confusion written across her face. Who are they? She asked. The silence that followed was deafening. Kyle looked between his 2 children, his 2 families, like a man watching his life implode in slow motion. I scooped up Paisley, holding her close. Nobody, baby. They're nobody. I turned to Kyle, my voice steady despite the earthquake in my chest. We'll be gone when you get home. Don't follow us. Mila, please. I was already walking away, Paisley's arms tight around my neck. Behind us, I heard the little boy ask, Daddy, why is that lady crying? In the car, Paisley was unusually quiet. Are we still playing spies? She finally asked as I buckled her in. No, sweetie, game's over. I wiped my eyes, smearing makeup across my cheeks. But you know what? We're going to start a new game. It's called Fresh Start, and we're going to be the winners. As I drove away, I caught a glimpse of Kyle in my rearview mirror, standing in the driveway of his picture-perfect second life. He looked small, somehow, diminished, good. Because while he stood there watching us leave, I was already planning. This wasn't going to be a story about a woman scorned or a family destroyed. No, I was going to turn this into something else entirely. Kyle had no idea what he'd just set in motion. You should have seen the signs, Maeve said, pouring more wine into my glass. We sat on my new apartment's floor, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes. 2 weeks had passed since the confrontation at Scarlett's house. Like what? I asked, flipping through old photos on my phone. The late nights? The business trips. That's normal for a partner at a law firm. How about the second phone I saw him hide when I dropped by your house last Christmas? I nearly choked on my wine. What? I thought you knew. Maeve set down her glass. He was in the kitchen, and when you went upstairs to check on Paisley, he slipped this sleek black phone into his briefcase. I assumed it was a work phone. The memory hit me like a freight train. The mysterious calls he'd take in the garage. He always said they were sensitive client matters. Where's Paisley tonight? Maeve asked, watching me carefully. With Mom. She's been amazing through all this. I pulled up another photo. Our family vacation last summer. Look at this. He was smiling here, playing with Paisley in the ocean. The whole time, he had another kid, another family. Maeve grabbed my phone and deleted the photo. Stop torturing yourself. I'm not. I'm gathering evidence. I reached for my laptop. Look at this. I pulled up Kyle's social media profiles. There were dozens of comments calling him out. People who'd discovered his double life. His law firm's rating had plummeted as former clients questioned his integrity. Karma's hitting him hard, Maeve observed. It's not enough. I closed the laptop. He's still at his firm, still living his life. Meanwhile, Paisley asks about him every night. What does she know? That Daddy made some bad choices and needs time to think about them. I laughed bitterly. She asked if his other little boy could come for a play date. Maeve's phone buzzed. She checked it, then sat up straighter. Remember my friend Emery, the talk show host? The one who does those viral segments about women's issues. She's looking for guests for a special episode about infidelity and recovery. I showed her your story, and she's interested. My heart skipped. No way, I can't go on TV. Why not? You're articulate, relatable, and your story would help so many women. Maeve leaned forward. Think about it. How many others are out there, ignoring the signs like you did? But Paisley would see her mom standing up for herself, being strong. Maeve grabbed my hands. You're not just some victim, Mila. You're a warrior who's rebuilding her life. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with Kyle's face. I'd kept his contact photo to remind myself of what I was dealing with. Don't answer it, Maeve warned. I put it on speaker instead. What do you want? Mila, please. Kyle's voice was rough. I miss her. Can I see Paisley this weekend? Like you saw her all those weekends you were with your other family. That's not fair. Fair? I stood up, pacing. Fair would be telling your wife of 6 years that you had another woman pregnant before our wedding. Fair would be not making me feel crazy for questioning your late nights. Fair would be, I'll do anything, he interrupted. I'll give you whatever you want in the divorce. Just let me see my daughter. I caught my reflection in the window, tears streaming down my face, but my spine straight. You know what I want, Kyle. I want back all the years I spent thinking I wasn't enough. I want back all the nights Paisley cried for you while you were reading bedtime stories to Isaiah. Maeve watched me with pride as I continued, my voice growing stronger. But since you can't give me that, here's what's going to happen. My lawyer will contact yours about supervised visitation. Until then, don't call me again. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but for the first time since that day at Scarlett's house, I felt powerful. So, I turned to Maeve. Tell me more about this talk show. She grinned, already typing on her phone. Emery's going to love you, but first, we need to talk about your story angle. My angle? This isn't just about exposing Kyle. It's about helping other women spot the signs, find their strength. She looked up at me. It's about turning pain into power. I walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Kyle was probably with his other family, or maybe alone in his office. realizing what he'd lost. But here I was, plotting my next move, instead of crying over his betrayal. Okay, I said, turning back to Maeve. Let's do it. Let's tell my story. She raised her wine glass. To new beginnings. I clinked my glass against hers. To karma, and making sure it's televised. 3 minutes to air. A production assistant called out as someone touched up my makeup. The studio lights felt hot, and my heart was racing so fast I could barely breathe. Emery Montgomery sat across from me, radiating the kind of confidence I wished I had. Remember, she said, leaning forward, just talk to me like we did during prep. Forget about the cameras. I nodded, smoothing my borrowed dress. The designer label felt foreign against my skin, just like everything else about this moment. 60 seconds. You've got this, Maeve whispered from her seat in the audience. She gave me a thumbs up. The countdown began. 10 seconds. 5, 3, 2. Welcome back to Real Talk with Emery, she began, turning to face the main camera. Today, we're discussing betrayal, healing, and the strength it takes to rebuild after discovering your entire life was a lie. Please welcome my guest, Mila. The lights felt even hotter as Emery turned to me. Mila, 2 months ago, you discovered your husband of 6 years had been living a double life. Can you take us back to that moment? I took a deep breath. I found out because my 5-year-old daughter texted me, asking why Daddy wasn't coming home for dinner again. The audience murmured sympathetically. That text led you to make a discovery, Emery prompted. I tracked his phone's location, I said, my voice growing stronger. I found him at another house, with another woman, and their 6-year-old son. Gasps echoed through the studio. Emery leaned forward. Their son was 6, which means he got her pregnant while we were engaged. The words still tasted bitter. He married me, knowing he had a child with another woman. Every anniversary, every birthday, every Christmas, he was splitting his time between 2 families. How did you confront him? I drove to that house with my daughter. I closed my eyes briefly, remembering. She thought we were playing spies. Instead, she met her half-brother in the worst possible way. That must have been devastating for her. It was, but you know what's worse? I felt tears threatening, but pushed them back. She asked if her new brother could come for a play date. She's 5 years old, trying to make sense of her father's betrayal with the pure heart of a child. The audience was dead silent now. What made you decide to come forward with your story? Emery asked. Because I'm not the only one. I turned to face the camera directly. There are women out there right now, questioning their instincts, making excuses for their partner's behavior. I want them to know they're not crazy. Those small signs they're ignoring. Trust them. What signs did you ignore? The secret phone calls, the business trips that never quite added up, the way he'd get defensive if I asked too many questions. I laughed without humor. He even had a second phone I never knew about. My best friend saw it once and assumed it was for work. He was a lawyer, after all. Everything could be explained away by client confidentiality. Emery nodded encouragingly. And now, how are you moving forward? One day at a time. I'm focusing on my daughter, on showing her what strength looks like. Because this story isn't about him anymore. I sat up straighter. It's about every woman who's ever been gaslit, betrayed, or made to feel like she's not enough. The audience broke into spontaneous applause. What would you say to your husband if he were watching right now? I smiled, thinking of Kyle in his expensive office, probably watching this broadcast. I'd say thank you. Emery raised an eyebrow. Thank you. Yes. Because his betrayal showed me exactly who I am. I'm not just a victim of his lies. I'm a survivor who's going to help other women recognize their worth before they waste years on men like him. The audience erupted again, several women standing up. And to the other woman, Emery pressed, to Scarlett, I hope she knows her worth too. Because any man who can lie to his wife for 7 years can lie to his mistress just as easily. As the segment wrapped up, my phone buzzed in my dressing room. Messages flooded in from unknown numbers. You're so brave. This is exactly what I needed to hear. Your story is my story. The last message made my heart stop. It was from Scarlett. You're right, about everything. We need to talk. Maeve burst into the dressing room. You're trending. The clip of you saying, "Thank you" to Kyle has over 1 million views already. I stared at Scarlett's message, then at the flood of supportive comments. Something was shifting, something bigger than my personal revenge against Kyle. What's next? Maeve asked, practically bouncing with excitement. I showed her Scarlett's message. I think this story just got more interesting. Your Instagram following jumped from 300 to 500,000 overnight, Quinn said, scrolling through my phone. We sat in a trendy cafe while she showed me the basics of social media management. And these brands wanting to work with you, they're legit. I stirred my untouched latte. I'm not an influencer, I'm just a mom trying to empower other women, Quinn finished. That's exactly why they want you. You're authentic. She pushed my phone back across the table. Look at these comments. The notifications were overwhelming. Women sharing their own stories of betrayal, asking for advice, thanking me for giving them courage. One message caught my eye. Watched your interview with my husband. Found his secret phone that night. Thank you for saving me from wasting more years. See? Quinn said. You're making a real difference. My phone buzzed with Kyle's face appearing on screen. Again. 13th call today, I muttered, declining it. He's spiraling, Quinn observed. My sources say his law firm's putting him on leave. Something about personal matters affecting client confidence. Before I could respond, another call came through. Scarlett, answer it, Quinn urged. This could be interesting. I took a deep breath and accepted the call. Hello? Can we meet? Scarlett's voice was different from that day at her house. Less confident, more strained. There's something you need to know. 20 minutes later, she walked into the cafe. Gone was the effortlessly beautiful woman who had opened her door to me. This Scarlett looked tired, worn. Quinn, give us a minute, I asked. Quinn gathered her things. Call me later, and remember, everything is content. After she left, Scarlett sat down, hands wrapped around her coffee cup, like she was trying to absorb its warmth. Kyle's leaving me, she said without preamble. I barked out a laugh. Karma works fast these days. You don't understand. She looked up, eyes red. He's trying to get back with you. The laughter died in my throat. What? He says he made a mistake, that you and Paisley are his real family. She pulled out her phone, showing me texts from Kyle. He's been saying this since your TV appearance. How seeing you so strong made him realize what he threw away. My stomach churned. And Isaiah. That's why I'm here. Scarlett's voice cracked. He's offering to sign away his parental rights. Says it would be easier for everyone if he focused on one family. The cafe suddenly felt too small, too warm. He wants to abandon his son. He says he'll pay child support, but she wiped her eyes. Isaiah keeps asking when Daddy's coming home. I don't know what to tell him. My phone buzzed again. Kyle, answer it, Scarlett said. Put it on speaker. With trembling fingers, I accepted the call. Mila, please. Kyle's voice filled the space between us. I've been trying to reach you all day. I saw your interview. You were amazing. I'm with Scarlett right now, I said coldly. A pause. Oh. She showed me your texts about abandoning your son. I'm trying to make things right, he pleaded. For you and Paisley, I can be the husband and father you deserve. By deserting another child? My voice rose, drawing looks from nearby tables. The same way you deserted Paisley all those nights you were with Isaiah. That was different. No, it wasn't. I looked at Scarlett, seeing my own pain reflected in her eyes. You're not trying to make things right, Kyle. You're running away again, just in a different direction. Mila, the answer is no. Don't call me again unless it's about Paisley's visitation schedule. I hung up, then turned to Scarlett. I'm so sorry. She shook her head. Don't be. You just showed me exactly who he is. My phone started buzzing with notifications. Someone had filmed our conversation and posted it online. The hashtag #YourMyLastMoment was trending again. Great, I muttered. More drama for the internet. Use it, Scarlett said suddenly. Use all of it. Show people what these men really do. How they pit women against each other. How they abandon their children. We could do it together, I found myself saying. Show both sides of the story. She smiled for the first time. The wife and the mistress, united against the real villain? Exactly. I pulled out my phone, opening my new Instagram account. Ready to tell your side? Scarlett straightened her shoulders. Ready. I started recording. Hey everyone, remember the other woman from my story? Meet Scarlett. Turns out, we have more in common than we thought. As we shared our intertwined stories, my phone exploded with supportive messages. But one text from Maeve stood out. You just turned your revenge story into a revolution. Kyle has no idea what's coming. He's here, Maeve whispered, peeking through the coffee shop window. Are you sure you want to do this? I checked my reflection in my phone screen, adjusting my hair. 3 months had passed since the day I discovered Kyle's secret. 3 months of building a platform, sharing stories, and helping other women find their voice. I need closure, I said, for Paisley's sake. We're recording everything, Quinn reminded me, adjusting the tiny microphone hidden in my collar. Just in case? Kyle walked in, looking different than I remembered. His designer suit hung loose on his frame, and dark circles shadowed his eyes. The confident lawyer who juggled 2 families was gone, replaced by someone who looked lost. Mila, he breathed, stopping at my table. Thank you for meeting me. Sit down, Kyle. I gestured to the chair across from me. Maeve and Quinn retreated to a nearby table, close enough to intervene if needed. You look amazing, he said, settling in. The whole country thinks so. My clients keep sharing your videos. Former clients, I corrected. I heard about the partnership vote. He flinched. They asked me to take a sabbatical, said my personal life was becoming a liability. His hands fidgeted with a sugar packet. But that's not why I wanted to meet. Then why? I miss you. He reached for my hand, but I pulled back. I miss our family. Paisley asks about me every time I have visitation. 2 hours every other Saturday, I cut in. That's more time than you spent with her when we were married. I want to fix this, his voice cracked. I ended things with Scarlett. I'm in therapy. I'm trying to be better. By abandoning your son. Isaiah has his mother. Paisley needs a father who won't teach her that it's okay to throw people away when they become inconvenient. I leaned forward. Did you watch the video Scarlett and I made? He nodded miserably. Everyone has. My own mother called to tell me how ashamed she is. Then you know Isaiah cries himself to sleep asking for you, just like Paisley used to. I can't be there for both. Why not? I demanded. Other divorced parents manage it. The problem isn't logistics, Kyle. It's you. A barista approached with our drinks. She did a double take, obviously recognizing us from social media, but maintained her professionalism. How's the book deal going? Kyle asked, after she left, changing the subject. Is that why you're really here? Worried about what I'll write? No, He ran his hands through his hair. I saw your interview about turning pain into power, about helping other women. I thought maybe you could help me understand how to fix this. I laughed, the sound sharp and hollow. You want me to help you? I love you, Mila. I never stopped. Stop. I held up my hand. Love isn't maintaining 2 families for 7 years. Love isn't making your wife feel crazy for questioning your lies. Love isn't abandoning your son to try to win back the wife you betrayed. Then tell me what to do. His voice rose, drawing attention from nearby tables. Tell me how to make this right. I took a slow sip of my coffee, letting the moment stretch. You want to know what to do? Be a father to both your children. Stop trying to erase your mistakes by making new ones. Accept that you broke something that can't be fixed. You really won't give me another chance. The woman who would have given you another chance doesn't exist anymore. I stood up, gathering my things. She died the day she found out her entire marriage was a lie. Mila, please. Goodbye, Kyle. I'll have my lawyer contact you about adjusting the visitation schedule. Maybe it's time you spent equal time with both your children. As I walked away, I heard him call out, I'll always love you. I turned back one last time. No, Kyle. You'll always love the idea of me. The wife who believed your lies, who made excuses for your absence, who put you first. But that's not who I am anymore. Outside, Maeve and Quinn caught up with me. That was intense, Quinn said, already reviewing the recording. The part about love not being maintaining two families, pure gold. Are you okay? Maeve asked, squeezing my arm. I looked back through the window. Kyle sat alone, head in his hands, looking small and broken. Once, that sight would have shattered my heart. Now, I felt something different. Not satisfaction or revenge, but a quiet certainty that I'd made the right choice. I'm better than okay, I said, turning away from the window. I'm free. My phone buzzed with a message from Scarlett. Isaiah's asking for a playdate with Paisley. Maybe it's time? I smiled, typing back, let's show them how co-parenting should look, because sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone. It's about building something better from the ruins they left behind. Mommy, is that my brother? Paisley pressed her face against the playground fence, watching Isaiah on the swings. The park was quiet for a Saturday morning, perfect for this first meeting. Half-brother, I corrected gently. Remember what we talked about? Scarlett approached with Isaiah, who clung to her hand, suddenly shy. The past week of coordinating this playdate had been surreal, sharing parenting tips with the woman who'd once been my nemesis. Isaiah, this is Paisley, Scarlett said softly. And this is Mila. Isaiah looked up at me with Kyle's eyes. Are you my other mommy? The question hit like a punch to the gut. Scarlett paled. No, sweetie. Remember, she's Paisley's mommy. Can we swing together? Paisley asked, breaking the tension. Isaiah nodded eagerly, and just like that, they were running toward the playground. Kids make everything look so easy, Scarlett said, settling onto a nearby bench with me. 1 minute they're strangers, the next they're best friends. If only adults were that simple. I watched the children play. How's he doing? Since Kyle. He stopped asking when Daddy's coming home. Scarlett's voice cracked. Now he just asks why Daddy doesn't love him anymore. Kyle's an idiot, I muttered, throwing away a relationship with his son to chase some fantasy of redemption. Look, Paisley called out, Isaiah can go higher than me. We watched them compete on the swings, their laughter carrying across the park. A few other parents gave us curious looks, probably recognizing us from social media. I never wanted this, Scarlett said suddenly. To be the other woman, the homewrecker. Kyle told me he was divorced when we met. When did you find out the truth? When I was already pregnant. She twisted her hands in her lap. He swore he'd leave you, that we'd be a real family. I was young and stupid enough to believe him. We both believed his lies. The worst part? Scarlett watched Isaiah jump from the swing. I actually felt superior to you, like I'd won some prize by having his son first. Now look at us, both single moms, picking up the pieces of his mess. My phone buzzed, another message from Kyle. Please tell Isaiah I love him. He won't take my calls. Still trying to fix things through other people, I said, showing Scarlett the message. Classic Kyle. He sent me flowers yesterday, with a note saying he's sorry for any pain he caused. She laughed bitterly, as if flowers can make up for abandoning his child. Mommy, Paisley ran over, dragging Isaiah. Can we get ice cream? Isaiah's never had the rainbow kind. I looked at Scarlett, who nodded. There's a shop around the corner. As we walked, the kids held hands, chattering about favorite flavors. A woman stopped us outside the ice cream parlor. Are you Mila, from the viral videos? She glanced between Scarlett and me. And you're? Yes, Scarlett said firmly. We are. You're both so brave. The woman gushed. My sister's going through something similar. Your stories gave her the courage to leave her cheating husband. Can we take a selfie? Another woman approached. My divorce support group follows both of you. Soon, a small crowd gathered. Phones appeared, recording as Paisley and Isaiah shared a giant rainbow sundae, oblivious to the attention. This is what healing looks like, someone commented, snapping photos. No, I corrected, watching our children laugh together. This is what family looks like. Real family, not the kind built on lies. Later, as we prepared to leave, Isaiah hugged Paisley tight. Are you really my sister? Half-sister, Paisley said proudly, using her new vocabulary. Which means we're still family, just different. Scarlett and I exchanged looks, both fighting tears. Same time next week? She asked. Definitely. I helped Paisley with her jacket. Maybe we could do dinner sometime. All of us? I'd like that. Scarlett hesitated, then hugged me. Thank you for not hating me, for giving our kids this chance. As they walked away, Paisley tugged my hand. Mommy, is it okay that I like having a brother, even though Daddy was mean? I knelt down to her level. Of course it is, baby. Sometimes beautiful things can grow from ugly situations. My phone buzzed again. Kyle had posted a public apology on social media, tagging both Scarlett and me. The comments were already flooding in, most of them calling out his attempt at digital redemption. But watching Isaiah and Paisley wave goodbye to each other, I realized something important. This story wasn't about Kyle anymore. It was about two women who turned betrayal into sisterhood, and two children who showed us how to love without conditions. Sometimes, the family you choose is stronger than the one that was chosen for you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our keynote speaker, Mila. The applause was deafening as I walked onto the stage of the Women's Empowerment Summit. 6 months had passed since that first playground meeting, and my life had transformed in ways I never imagined. When I first discovered my husband's betrayal, I began gripping the podium. I thought I was alone. I thought my story was unique. In the front row, Scarlett sat with both our children. Paisley and Isaiah wore matching Family is Love t-shirts from our new children's clothing line. But then something amazing happened. I started talking, and you, all of you, started listening. The massive screen behind me displayed screenshots of viral moments from the past months. My talk show appearance, the coffee shop confrontation with Kyle, the playground meetup that launched 1,000 discussions about modern family dynamics. My story became your story. Your courage became my strength. Together, we created something powerful. Movement at the back of the auditorium caught my eye. Kyle slipped in, trying to be inconspicuous. Our eyes met briefly before I continued. But this isn't just about exposing unfaithful partners or seeking revenge. It's about reclaiming our narrative. It's about showing our children that love doesn't have to look like a traditional family portrait. Isaiah waved from his seat, and I smiled back. It's about turning pain into purpose. The screen changed to show our latest project, a foundation helping single mothers rebuild their lives after betrayal. When my 5-year-old daughter asked why Daddy wasn't coming home for dinner, I never imagined that question would lead to this moment. To all of you, to a movement that's helped thousands of women find their voice. Maeve gave me a thumbs up from the wings. Quinn live-streamed everything from the sidelines, managing the flood of supportive comments. But the real breakthrough came when I stopped seeing myself as a victim. When I realized that my husband's other woman was just as deceived as I was. When we chose to build bridges instead of burning them. Scarlett stood up, receiving her own round of applause. Our joint social media accounts had become a beacon of hope for blended families worldwide. Today, I'm proud to announce that our foundation has secured funding to open support centers in 5 major cities, places where women can find legal aid, counseling, and most importantly, community. The audience erupted in cheers. In the back, Kyle remained still, watching. Because here's what I learned. Karma isn't about revenge. It's about growth. It's about taking the worst moment of your life and turning it into the best thing that ever happened to you. I gestured to Paisley and Isaiah. My daughter gained a brother. I gained a sister in the woman I was supposed to hate. We built something beautiful from the ashes of betrayal. The screen showed photos of our weekly family dinners, playground meetups, and holiday celebrations. A modern family redefined. So to every woman out there questioning her worth, doubting her instincts, or feeling trapped in a lie, this is for you. Your story matters, your truth matters, and you are not alone. As the audience rose for a standing ovation, I caught sight of Kyle slipping out the back door. He'd lost everything trying to maintain his perfect illusion. His job, his family's, his reputation. Backstage after the speech, Paisley and Isaiah tackled me with hugs. "You were awesome, Mommy," Paisley exclaimed. "Super awesome," Isaiah agreed, using his new favorite phrase. Scarlett handed me a tissue. "You made me cry. Again." "Group hug," Maeve called out, joining us with Quinn. "The hashtag is exploding," Quinn reported, scrolling through her phone. "And you've got interview requests from major networks." A security guard approached. "Ms. Mila, Mr. Kyle asked me to give you this." He handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter and legal documents. "He's signing over joint custody of Isaiah to you and me." Scarlett read over my shoulder. "In case anything happens to either of us, he wants the siblings to stay together." "He's finally doing something right," Maeve observed. I looked at our children, playing together without a care in the world. They'd shown us how to love unconditionally, how to forget labels and just be family. "Ready for celebration ice cream?" I asked them. "Rainbow kind," they shouted in unison. As we left the auditorium, fans stopped us for photos, sharing their own stories of transformation. Each one reminded me that this journey wasn't just about surviving betrayal, it was about thriving because of it. My phone buzzed with a message from Kyle. "You've built something amazing. I'm sorry I had to break everything for you to find your strength." I showed the message to Scarlett. She smiled, watching our children skip ahead. "Sometimes," she said, "broken things come back together more beautifully than before." Looking at our unconventional family, I couldn't agree more. "Daddy's here," Paisley announced, peering through our front window. She no longer ran to the door when Kyle arrived for visitation. Progress came in small steps. I opened the door to find Kyle holding 2 wrapped presents. "Happy birthday, Princess," he said to Paisley. "Is Isaiah here yet?" "In the backyard with Mom," she replied, accepting her gift with measured enthusiasm. "We're setting up for the party." Kyle shifted uncomfortably. "Scarlett's here already?" She helped bake the cake. I stepped aside to let him in. "The kids wanted a joint birthday party this year." In the backyard, Isaiah spotted Kyle and froze mid-laugh. Scarlett tensed but maintained her composure as she hung decorations. "I brought this for Isaiah too," Kyle said, holding out the second gift. Our son, and yes, he'd become our son in many ways, approached cautiously. "Thank you," he whispered, taking the package. "Open them together," Maeve called from her spot by the grill. Quinn filmed everything, as usual, though we'd agreed this moment would stay private. The children tore into their presents, revealing matching tablets. "For video calls," Kyle explained. "So you can talk to each other, and to me, whenever you want." "And you'll answer?" Isaiah asked, his voice small. "Even when you're busy." Kyle knelt down to his level. "I promise. No more missed calls, no more excuses." He looked between both children. "I know I hurt you both. I'm trying to do better." Paisley studied her tablet. "Can we call each other right now, after cake?" Scarlett interjected smoothly. "Speaking of which, who wants to help light the candles?" As the kids rushed to help, Kyle approached me. "Thank you for letting me be here." "It's not about us anymore," I replied. "It's about them." The party was surprisingly comfortable. Kyle kept his distance, but remained engaged, watching as Paisley and Isaiah blew out their candles together, opened presents from friends, and ran through the sprinkler in their swimsuits. "They're so happy," Scarlett observed, joining me by the refreshment table. "Who would have thought we'd end up here?" "Certainly not me," I laughed. "Remember when I showed up at your door that day?" Remember when Kyle tried to choose between his families like he was picking a vacation home? We both glanced at Kyle, who was helping Isaiah figure out his new tablet. He'd lost weight, gained gray hair, but something else had changed too. The desperation was gone, replaced by quiet acceptance. "Your latest book chapter really got to him," Scarlett said. "The part about how real love means putting your children first." He actually read it. He left sticky notes in the margins. Isaiah found them when Kyle left the book at our house. The kids ran over, interrupting our conversation. "Mom, can we show everyone our surprise?" Paisley asked, bouncing with excitement. I nodded, and they rushed to get their backpacks. We'd been practicing this moment for weeks. "Everyone," Isaiah called out, "we made something." The party guests gathered around as the children pulled out hand-drawn pictures. Together, they held up a large paper showing two houses connected by a rainbow bridge. Stick figures labeled Mom, Other Mom, Dad, and both kids' names dotted the landscape. "It's our family," Paisley explained proudly. "Different, but together." Kyle made a choked sound. Scarlett wiped her eyes. "We're gonna hang it in both houses," Isaiah added. "So everyone remembers we're still family, just different." Quinn lowered her phone, for once not filming. Maeve hugged me from behind as I fought back tears. "Can we hang Dad's copy at his new apartment too?" Paisley asked innocently. Kyle stepped forward, voice rough with emotion. "I'd be honored." The kids beamed, handing him his copy. As they ran off to play again, Kyle turned to Scarlett and me. "I don't deserve this," he said quietly. "No," Scarlett agreed. "But they deserve a father who tries. And that's what you're going to be," I added. "Right?" He nodded, carefully rolling up the drawing. "I'm never going to stop trying to make this right." "Good," I said, "because they're showing us how to be better. All of us." As the party wound down, I watched our unusual family. Scarlett helping Isaiah pack up his gifts, Kyle teaching Paisley how to use her tablet, Maeve and Quinn documenting it all for our foundation's next project. My phone buzzed with a message from our publisher. "Your story's inspiring millions. Ready to start the next chapter?" I looked at the children's drawing, now hanging proudly on our fence. Sometimes the happy ending isn't what you imagined. It's better, because it's real, it's messy, and it's built on truth instead of lies. "Ready," I typed back, watching my daughter and her brother chase fireflies in the gathering dusk. But this time, let's call it a beginning.